Welcome back to the Montreal Expos franchise. We're here for the draft episode coming up on the midway point of the season as well as we hit early to mid-July. We are 49-36, second in the division, and that lands us in the top spot in the NL wildcard. And we have been surprising the MLB this year. We are definitely a team that is overachieving, but I think this team is legitimately good. Our batting averages are the biggest difference coming into this year. Cal Mitchell's over 300. What's new? Riley Adams is hitting well. He's actually platooning at catcher with Blake Sabol. He hits versus left-handed hitters, and he's hitting great versus lefties. Bill Hedger's hitting 297 in his rookie season. He is the front runner for Rookie of the Year. We could have back-to-back Rookie of the Years. Blake Sabol, we already talked about him last episode and how good of a pickup he's been. He has been hitting amazing when he does play. Addison Barger's got that average up to 258. Whit Merrifield's got a 255 average. Andrew Monasterio has been coming in spurts and playing pretty well. He's hitting 273. Joe Adell in right field is hitting 243, and like I floated around earlier, he could be moving over to center if center field doesn't get better as far as offensive-wise goes. But we do have Everson Pereira, Blanco, Hamilton, and we did try Jordan Adams in center field as well. And we also have Terrell Tatum, who we rotate up to the major leagues as well. Pitching is probably the reason why we are this good this year, though. Our starting rotation is absolutely killing it so far this year. Nobody has above a 1.30 whip. And that's something I could not say in the first two seasons. Our bullpen is a little sluggish, and maybe that's an area we look to improve at the trade deadline. But right now, I'd say Elvis Peguero's having a pretty good season. Buck Farmer's having a good season, actually a really good season. But I think we probably want to kind of tweak our bullpen a little bit as Jamal Watson is nearing 30 saves on the season. How do we stack up versus the rest of the MLB? Cal Mitchell is top 15 in batting average, obviously hitting over 300. Bill Hedger is 6th in hits, so that is pretty good for a rookie, to be quite honest with you. Triples, Noah Addison Barger this year. Home runs, we are hitting more. We don't have any, top 10 home run hitters, but Vladdy is number 17. And then as far as RBIs, Bill Hedger does have 54 RBIs. He's going for 100 in his rookie season. And then wins, we actually have a guy tied for first, and that's Alexander Santiago with 10. So he's having a very good second year. His rookie year was kind of up and down, but he's really, really improved going into year two. But like I said, Bill Hedger is the leader for Rookie of the Year. But behind him is Hurston Waldrop from the Atlanta Braves. Through 17 games started, he's 10-4, but only has 7 quality starts, and he actually has terrible numbers, 5.42 ERA and a 1.53 whip. If those numbers were on our team, he would probably be demoted down to AAA, to be honest with you, but he is getting wins. How about Augustus Macklin, though? First for Gold Glove at third base in his first full year at third base. That is just amazing. And if he's not doing it, hitting the ball, at least he's doing it in the field. So we start the month of July playing the Toronto Blue Jays. We get a nice 8-1 victory, and this was Alexander Santiago's 11th win on the season. He goes a complete game, 4-hitter, gave up 1 earned run. He is just having himself a year. And we quickly sim the next week, and we go 5-4, or I guess 4-3. So we get to the All-Star break with a record of 56-40. As we look at the All-Stars and who we have playing in this year's All-Star game. I thought we would have a lot of guys mentioned, and we do have a lot of votes, starting with Alexander Santiago and Aaron Savale. They are not the top of the voting here, but they are getting a lot of votes. I'm surprised that Santiago isn't getting more because he's got a 2.86 ERA, a 1.03 whip. He's tied for the league lead in wins right now, and he is just having himself a tremendous season. Bullpen, I obviously highlighted it earlier. We don't really have anybody here, but closing pitcher, Jamal Watson is at the top. He has 28 saves on the year, and he is just pitching lights out. Since he's been at the majors, we tried him at relief pitcher. He was killing it then. We then tried him in the starting rotation. He did even better for a little bit, but then we tried him at closer, and he really found his role. And in between those last 2 weeks, he acquired 2 saves, so now he's at 30 on the season. Blake Sabol, I thought, would be getting more votes, but he is probably top 10 in votes right there. Vladdy is number 1 for first baseman, and Bill Hedger is number 2. So we could have 2 first basemen as NL All-Stars here in season number 3. Bill Hedger is absolutely killing it so far, tied for the team lead with 20 home runs along with Vladdy, and he also has 64 RBIs, which is 16 more than Vladdy has. Nobody really getting votes anywhere else in the field, not at third base, really not at short. Barger just isn't doing nearly enough, but in left field, I really thought that Cal Mitchell would be up here, but he's only top 20, and he's down here with almost 300,000 votes, hitting 291. That average has dipped a little bit right before the All-Star break, but still hitting really well. And I think MLB The Show really weighs home runs and RBIs very heavily, so that's probably why Cal Mitchell isn't getting many votes. And looking at right field, Joe Adell is in the top 15 as well. So the final rosters do come out, and Jamal Watson does make the All-Star team. Obviously has 30 saves on the year. And then Vladdy is the starting first baseman. But maybe the biggest shocker is that we have nobody else that made the All-Star game, including Bill Hedger, who is clearly an All-Star snub, along with probably Cal Mitchell, because right now Christian Yelich is hitting out of his mind in left field. But besides him, I mean, Cal Mitchell's probably the best hitting left fielder at this moment in time. So we head into the All-Star break with 2 All-Stars from the Expos, and we will face Screwball on the mound, and he will face Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the 4 spot. He gets the start here at first base, and he gets fooled on that circle change right over the middle. As that brings it to a 2-2 count here. Outside pitch, and you can't fool him twice. That's a base hit up the middle. And Vladdy is looking for a 40 home run season. Last year, I believe he hit 36 total, but he's having a pretty good start to the year this year through the midway part of the season. I'm kind of sad that Bill Hedger didn't make the All-Star game, though. Here is Vladdy up for his second AB, now with a runner in scoring position. Here with 2 outs in this inning. He gets one inside, chopper down the third baseline. He hit it hard, but that one will be foul. Facing Shane McClanahan on the mound. 1-2 pitch. Inside slider will be a swinging strike 3. He gets fooled on that one. And he is 1 for 2 as we move on to the 5th inning. Probably going into his final at-bat here in the All-Star game. And the NL team is up 4-0. And an inside slider. That one will hit him on the back. And that will be the end of his day. On to the bottom of the 6th inning, Jamal Watson gets called in with an 8-0 lead as he faces the top of the lineup here for the AL. That's Stephen Kwan, who is hitting leadoff here for the AL. He's hitting .306 on the year, and he's just looking at that curve ball right there, and it's called strike 3 looking. As that brings up Julian here hitting in that 2 spot. Another one! A called strike 3. That pitch is fooling hitters today. As could he go for a 1-2-3 inning now facing Yordan Alvarez, who is an MLB The Show killer. As he walks, that one is just out of the zone. He's hitting .348 on the year. Then Mike Trout comes to the plate now, 1 for 2 today, and he hits one well deep to left field. That one gets down in the gap all the way to the wall, and it looks like it might score Alvarez from first, and it will. So this this shutout is broken up. And it's an 8-1 ball game as that brings up Juan Soto, 1 for 2. He turns on one well to center field, but it's just going to be a fly out. And that will do it for our All-Stars today. Watson does give up a run, but does strike out 2 in his 1 inning of work. And the All-Stars in the NL get the big victory, 9-1, as Vladdy gets a hit. Obviously, we just saw what Watson did. Kind of sad about the snubs, but it's game time. Now we enter our third player draft, and we have the 10th pick in this year's draft. So one thing to remember coming into this draft is we lost our second round pick because we signed Vladdy Jr. in the offseason. That forfeited our second round pick. And I believe that second round pick goes to the Blue Jays, who made the qualifying offer. So we have number 10, 81, 111, 141, and 171. We strategically went into this draft knowing that we aren't going to pick for 71 straight picks. So we did a good job of scouting way down the board. But our first two picks in year one, first was Bill Hedger. Now, we already know he is the front runner for Rookie of the Year. He was an absolute hit in the draft. So we were 1 for 1 after season number 1. A lot of you guys doubted him because he had C potential, but obviously he has progressed up to a B. Then last year, with the number 4 overall pick, Luis Davila fell into our laps. And this was an amazing pick here. And he is at 80 overall. He is hurt right now, but he will be coming back soon. But now we enter the MLB Draft, and now we get to work. With the first overall pick in the 2026 MLB Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates will select Jackie Alberts, the number 4 rated prospect, a junior college starter, and he will go to the Pirates. Our scouts really thought he was going to be a bust, and he is ranked 78 on our board. I did not even consider drafting him at all with our number 10 pick, but he goes number 1 overall. With the number 2 pick, the Colorado Rockies will select number 2 for the 3rd straight year, and they select Mike Urbina, a junior college shortstop just out of high school for 1 year and go straight to the pros. And he is a guy that is an all-around player. I didn't even try to scout him because I did not think he would fall at all. But he goes to the Rockies. The Rockies go pitcher, and now shortstop in 3 straight seasons. So here we go. Now, number 3. In the draft goes Steven Shanklin, a guy that was ranked 17th in the draft, so we did our due diligence and scouted him. I was expecting him to be available for our selection, but he does go off of the board at pick number 3. So now we get through the first 3 picks, and now it starts to get interesting. Blair Linder, who was a guy I expected to fall in the draft. He was a starting pitcher out of high school. He had a 76 to 94 potential. He goes number 4. William Cho goes to the Brewers. He was on the board at number 12. We did not scout him at all because I wasn't sure if he would be a bust or not, so we just left him alone. Elvis Park, a starting pitcher who was 19 years old. He was draft rank number 61, and he goes all the way up at 6. Then the number 67th prospect on the MLB.com rankings. He goes number 7 overall. That's Johnny Leach, another shortstop. It's been shortstop or starting pitcher so far. How many shortstops is that? 3 shortstops and all starting pitchers. Michael Gonzalez, he was 18 on the board. He goes next. And then Enrique Quevedo goes number 9 to the Kansas City Royals. And here we are at pick number 10. And if you've noticed, we have not mentioned the number 1 MLB ranked prospect at all, and that is David Cabrera. Cabrera has amazing potential. 81 to 91, but the overall right now could be close to, if not already, MLB caliber. He has very high strikeouts per 9 with a chance to be elite, and his stamina is also projected to be elite. This is the type of pitcher that we have not seen yet, at least from our draft position at all in this series. He is the best player available, and he could be an immediate impact guy in the starting rotation. Now, last draft, we ended up drafting 4 starting pitchers, and it really made a big difference in our farm system. Adding another arm could be deadly. But then there's one more guy I am really considering here, and he is the number 30 ranked prospect, and that is Lee Rocker, an outfielder from Wake Forest. Now, his potential is a little lower, but he has Gold Glove-like potential. He is a pretty good hitter, not a great hitter, but a pretty good hitter. And he's projected right now to start between 70 and 80 overall. We had our best scout him. But this is the difference. It's his defense. I mean, look at this cannon of an arm from center field, right on the money to nail a guy at home. This is what he brings to the table. And he's about an average to above average hitter. Is he ever going to hit for a batting title per se? Probably not. But he's going to be an elite level player. He's going to project to win multiple gold gloves. And he fills a position of need as well, because we have really no outfield prospects that we can really hang our hat on and say that they're going to be surefire MLB talents. There's another guy we're considering here, Cliff Holly, but he is not ranked, and I feel like he's going to be on the board a little later. He is 18 years old. Now, his ceiling is probably a lot lower, and he is a lot more raw, so I don't really feel inclined to draft him in the first round. So I just go back to the top two guys, Cabrera and Rocker. This is a tough one. Maybe the toughest decision I've had to make, because Cabrera is the best player available, but we just ended up drafting a bunch of starting pitchers last draft. Then there's Lee Rocker, who is elite defensively, one of the most elite defensive guys I've seen in the draft. But to be honest, I think we need to go best player available. And David Cabrera just fell into our lap at pick number 10. So our first round selection in the 2026 MLB Draft will be David Cabrera, the number 1 MLB ranked prospect. Our scouts have him at number 3. He is an elite level pitcher out of Florida. The Gators were lucky this year to have such a high level pitcher, because that brought them to the College World Series, where they ended up losing. But either way, Cabrera brought them there. He really, carried them all this way. And we decide to snag the best player available. So we move on to further in round 1, and it turns out the Tampa Bay Rays draft Lee Rocker. I don't know how, but the Tampa Bay Rays always draft well in MLB The Show. They always find the guys that you find as gems, and they draft them. It happens literally every single season. But Lee Rocker headed to the Rays, and he's going to be a staple for them in the outfield. So we had to literally wait 71 picks to pick again at pick number 81. Cliff Holly is still there, and he is available. There are some other guys here that I do really like. Kenny David is a solid college pitcher. The only thing with Kenny David is that we just ended up drafting a pitcher. We went very pitcher heavy last draft. I want to draft a position player, so I'm going to rule him out right now. But the next guy I want to highlight is Dustin Nichols. The only 5-tool really prospect I've seen in this entire draft. Maybe there's 1, 2, maybe 3. But he is born in Tennessee, but plays for Kentucky. Look at these attributes. He is an elite level hitter. He is an elite level defender, and he has really good speed. I mean, this guy is going to be an amazing pro one day. The only knock is that his ceiling isn't very high. He's probably going to come in with a C potential, but he's going to come in as a mid-70 overall guy. But I cannot hesitate to get a guy with this type of talent. So with our third round pick, number 81, we select Dustin Nichols out of Kentucky. Man, is this guy special. Obviously, the ceiling isn't as high as other prospects in this draft, but man, is he going to be good right away. And I haven't seen a prospect like him in a while, so I'm very, very interested to see how good he really is going to be. It's going to be fun to see him develop. And this reminds me of the Bill Hedger pick. Not a high potential guy, but a guy that can really, really rake, and a guy that can really be a tone setter defensively in the outfield. So on to the fourth round, and Cliff Holly is still sitting there. I don't know if we should pull the trigger now or later, but he's probably going to come in as an 80 to 81 potential guy, and he's going to be very raw. So I feel like I maybe should get a more sure thing than anything. And Alexi Becerra is definitely a sure thing. There's one thing that he can do and do well. He hits for power. He's going to have potentially 89 power versus right, and he is just amazing. Now, one thing that he can't do is field. But he is a good runner, actually, and he has a decent arm. So with the number 111 pick, we will select Alexi Becerra out of Penn State, a big-time lefty, 6'5", and he's got a big bat. The only issue is defensively. He has struggled defensively throughout his college career. I'm hoping that he can develop that trait, but his bat is something special. And one thing that we have with him is a guaranteed A potential prospect, somewhere between 89 and 94. That's usually like a low 90. So we will see what he ends up turning into, but this is a very, very big bat here in this draft. So on to round 5, and there's Cliff Holly. He is still there. He has slipped, and since he's rated by our scouts at 39, I just don't think we should make them wait any longer. Let's make them happy and draft Cliff Holly here with this selection. So here in the 5th round at 141, it's Cliff Holly, high schooler, 18 years old. He's got a lot of upside. He's going to be very raw, so he's going to need some years to develop. But this is a guy that we just kind of stash in our organization, allow him to develop, don't rush him up, and we can see what he will turn into. Maybe one day he will be an MLB player, or maybe one day he'll be a trade chip. Who knows? But that's a pretty good 5th rounder if you ask me. Now on to our final pick in this draft, and we're on to the 6th round. We only had 5 picks in this draft. And here is where I like to take a little more of a risk. Emmett Lamar is a relief pitcher. He is not ranked, but one guy I really, really like here is Ray James. He's going to be a raw high school 19-year-old pitcher. He's 6'5", got amazing size. He's going to be somewhere between 70 and 98 potential. There's a potential that he can be an A potential guy that we have scouted 35% of the way that could possibly be an A potential. So with this last selection, we rounded out with pitcher Ray James out of high school, a big 6'5" right-hander who's going to have some time to develop. And hopefully that potential is higher rather than lower. We'll see what happens when we reveal the ratings next episode, but this is a good last pick. I really, really like this selection. He's going to have time to develop just like Holly will. So both of those guys will probably develop together as they were back-to-back picks in this 3rd-year player draft. So that concludes the draft here for the Expos, and we get a nice little break here in the middle of July, obviously at the All-Star break. But we have had a very good season up to this point, and I'm excited for the second half. Going into the month of August, though, we have a very tough schedule. We start playing some divisional teams more consistently. Remember, we've only played 26 division games so far. It's going to really ramp up in the last few months of the year. And that's really going to be the deciding factor on if we can snag one of these wild card spots. Can we beat our division teams? And we have been doing it so far, but in a limited sample size. But I am excited to see what we can do. We are only 10 wins away from our win total a year ago. So one question that really is going to need to be answered is, are we going to be buyers at the trade deadline? I said it last episode, but we're probably not going to go after some big name guys here. It's just not realistic, and I want to keep it realistic. Obviously, trading within the division, trying to get Jazz Chisholm isn't realistic. And even a guy like Jazz Chisholm is probably going to require 2 A potential prospects. Like, I think that's probably what's going to get the return for a superstar like Jazz Chisholm. So I think a more realistic option, at least right now, is to get a utility guy in free agency. There are some older veterans such as Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier has excellent vision. And whenever we sign these guys, I always adjust their ratings back to what they would be if they did not have that, free agent, regression. But I like him. He's nothing super special. This would be just a signing just for some depth. Adam Duvall is interesting at age 37. He wouldn't even be the oldest guy on our roster because we have Whit Merrifield, but he has not played in the last couple years, so I don't like him as much. But then I go to Dylan Moore, who can literally play every position on the field. And looking at his stats, like he played as soon as last year, and he still got a lot left in the tank, in my opinion. He just wasn't signed this year, and he's been sitting here. So we will go after Dylan Moore for depth, and this is actually a pretty good signing in my opinion, because this is a guy that is going to come in with pretty much no expectations, and we do some negotiating. We end up giving him a 2-year deal with a club option. Obviously, if we don't like him after this season, we can obviously decline that option, so it makes him happy and it gets him on the squad. One guy we might come back to, depending on if we stay healthy, is Enrique Kike Hernandez. We'll see if he is still available after a while. I'm pretty sure he will be, though. So that will do it here for the draft episode. I would say this draft was a solid B+. Just like last year, our draft was an A. I don't think our class was as good as last year, but it's really, really good nonetheless. I say this is like a B+ draft for me, and I really, really like what we're building here. We have a lot of pitching prospects now in our organization, and now we add a really good outfielder to our organization that maybe is more dependable than what our options are now. So hit subscribe, hit that like button. We will get into July and into the month of August, along with the trade deadline that next episode, and reveal those real-time ratings of those draft picks. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinny. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.